looks like we're getting into the pick and bans right now. So the first ban coming out is Warwick. I know that is a target ban to the other team's jungler because it's a really easy champion to learn early. And I know a lot of the junglers they might be learning jungle for the first time, and they pick it up. Um, Philios and Morgana coming out next. Morgana being very, very annoying in the bot lane personally, and I know it's a personal favorite of the Illuminati. After that, the red team Illuminati, they start with their bands of Ornn, Draven, and Graves. I actually have not seen these champions being played much by the other team, but I know Ornn is a menace in the top lane, right? Always useful, always good to be played. And Draven being a strong carry that the Poro Rustlers can play through, that's very, very important. Coming through that, first picks, man, they're going fast today. They didn't know exactly what they want. Poro Rustlers going with the Zac. I do know that both junglers play this, so it's a highly contested pick here. Um, Zac being a late game monster, and although he doesn't do as much early game, I think that these games usually go a lot longer. They follow up. Team Illuminati follows up with a Leona Ezreal. Um, Very interesting bot lane overall. Leona being very, very aggressive, and Ezreal being okay to sit back. Probably more of a comfort pick on the Ezreal side, knowing that he can always be safe and just constantly farm, but Leona being very useful later on. Oh, poor Russ was thinking about doing the Zyra, but switching it over to the Thresh. Um, hmm, I wonder why they would do that. I wonder if they have a ADC that goes with the Thresh, like the Senna that they want to pick up, or if there is a specific reason that they're wanting to use this Thresh for like an immobile ADC, like the Varus, exactly. Very, very good pick here. Varus being very overpowered right now in the meta, and Thresh working great with him because Varus cannot move very well. So Thresh's Lantern constantly being able to move him around, and very, very good pick synergy with the Poro Rustlers. The last pick for the Illuminati is the Brand. Um, huh. I'm wondering if this is Brand mid or Brand top or Brand jungle even, since they already have the Leona. Following up with some bands of Mordekaiser and Evelyn. Evelyn being a menace in the jungle, and it's actually really, really annoying for brand new players because she can go invisible. So taking her out of the equation is going to help out the Poro Rustlers overall. Seeing what this last ban is for the Illuminati. And it's a misban. So unfortunately, one thing that happens when a team doesn't ban in time was that there's no ban and there's nothing that can really be done about it. It's why it's so important that these champions be picked out beforehand. The Illuminati taking up the Renekton here, being a very aggressive top laner, which seems really, really good to be with their Ezreal, who wants to farm in the early game. So that means their jungler can focus more on the top side. So I really, really like that pick overall. I'm interested to see what the Poro Rustlers pick in response. And it's the Maokai. Okay. I love Maokai personally. Great top laner overall. Um, and we're just waiting for that mid laner now. The last one being Hecarim. Oh, now this is interesting, okay, because Hecarim being new to the meta, with his buffs and the ghost buffs and the teleport buffs, is interesting to see because he could play top lane, he could play jungle. Um, and the Maokai being, it could be played top lane, it could be played jungle, and even Zac could be played top lane and jungle. I'm interested to see what's going on. I hear that we're having some technical difficulties when it comes to the draft, but when we go into game, it should show the exact picks overall. Um, let's go right into game, and then we'll make sure that all the picks are correct and the draft makes sense. All right, we're back. So I want to clarify to some of the viewers at home is going on. Some things that have changed overall. The main thing being that Hecarim is actually not there. It is a Nivea. And because of the Anivia pick, the Illuminati decided not to pick Lucian, instead pick Galio. There's a bug happening with the when they were trying to pick, and unfortunately, that happens sometimes, right? So Riley, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yep, I'm glad you guys can have me back. It's good to see this pick ban. I mean, Ezreal is such an impressive laner. I'm interested to see how Illuminati can utilize the Ezreal Leona lane, as well as having. Trying to wait, hold on. Is Ezreal jungle?
That's what I'm trying to figure out here because the brand I'm thinking is support, right? But Leona's there and Ezreal's there. The Lucian is actually a Galio, right?
Yeah, that's mid. Yeah,
So I'm thinking it's actually brand jungle.
it might be. Yeah, it could be Brand jungle. I heard Ezreal jungle is coming back, apparently. So maybe, but yeah, Ezreal Leona, if that's bot lane, or actually Brand Leona bot lane too, would be really impressive into the Varus Thresh. I mean, Varus is such a what's the word I'm looking for here? Like good champion right now because you can play him like three different ways. You can play him AP, you can play him on hit AP, on hit AD, and then you also go poke Varus, which is the meta build right now, and it just does so much damage. So they both have good comps. I think for like a full on engage comp, I think that the Poro Rustlers are better in that way because they have the Maokai Hecarim. Oh, not Hecarim, I guess Maokai Galio, which is still good. Um, or no, sorry, Maokai and Nivea, which I guess doesn't synergize as well, but she can just throw her Q out and then ult and just have people sitting on that. And then Thresh and Zac just locking down people and the Varus ultimate. So you have a lot of lockdown their end, and you really only have the Leona and Renekton engage, and Renekton's engages are pretty soft, I would say. Like you kind of just has to ult and run at your face, so
Mm-hmm.
it is a bit harder for them to get on people, but they have really good disengage. I think with the brand ultimate, the Ezreal E out, and the Leona like stuns, it'll be interesting to see how they do on that like in that matchup.
So what I'm looking at here for these two teams, like to basically break down what you just said, is like the fact that the blue team doesn't really have to actually do anything, right?
Yeah,
You have Maokai, you have Zac, you have Varus, you have Galio. These all, I mean, Galio not as much, but Zac and Maokai, they scale really well. So what I want to see this Poro Rustlers team do is I want to see them literally do nothing but farm for about 15 minutes. I want to see them give up the dragons. I want to see them give up these Rift Heralds and not take fights. I want them to see them basically just farm for the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then later on they're such mid and late game champions that they're just going to demolish team fights just because of the champions that they picked. I think that is something that's really, really smart in this poor Rustlers team. On the opposite side, the red team, the Illuminati, they're playing very aggressive early game champions, right? This
yeah,
Renekton, this
true.
Leona, even the Galio is kind of a lane bully. He's got such insane base stats. So I want to see this red team be at Dragon at 5 minutes, be at Rift Herald at 8 minutes, and really push their aggression. If they can do that, they can try to make the Poro Rustler team fight when they're not supposed to, right? I think it's very interesting. Two different styles in teams, and they're both going head to head now.
I would agree with you, except for the fact that I think that Zac wants to be ganking and Brand wants to be farming early on. So I think that's like one big flaw in each of their comps is you have a jungler on each side. I believe if that is the jungle that is going to be wanting to do the opposite thing of their team, right? So like if Zac and Brand were switched on these teams, I think it would make the comps look a little bit better. But because you have a brand. I mean, maybe you can be there for counter ganks, but you really just want to farm up and get items on your on brand and just try to be able to do as much damage as possible with the runic echoes.
Mhm.
So it's going to come down to maybe Brand or Zach hitting some really good ganks early on to keep that team alive because you're right, they are more passive lanes.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think Zach being able to gank from multiple different, and when we say ganking, right, we mean trying to attack lanes where people don't see them, right? And Zach being able to do that very, very efficiently is going to be very important. Another thing I want to talk about while we have these 2 minutes for this waiter spectator um, is thinking about like drafting. I know Jason did an awesome job announcing last week, and I wanted to talk about the difference between blue side and red side. Riley, do you know a little bit about like the difference between drafting on blue side versus red side?
I mean, a little bit, but I'm sure you probably have more experience as a coach, so you can go ahead and take this one away.
Okay. So for the viewers at home, blue side always gets first pick, right? So they get to pick the first champion that they want. And this is really important because if there is a champion that both teams really, really want, the blue side will always have access to it first. So I think like last year during Worlds it was like the Akali, um, spring split. It was Ornn and Set, right? These very very prized champions that people want to take. If you're on blue side, you don't have to actually ban them, right? And we actually see here that the red team did ban the Ornn. So I think that's very interesting because it really changes your setup of what you're picking and what you're banning. Now, you might be saying to yourself, like, hey, Matt, if blue side always gets this advantage, I would always want to be blue side. But the counter to that is that red side always gets the last pick, right? So that means you always get a counter pick no matter what. And this time it was they picked Galio into Anivia, right? So they always get to say, hey, I want this champion because he's really good against the enemy team. And that's like two different basically theories about drafting that really like help coaches and it helps when you're scouting other teams that I always think is important. And I think that one thing that we do really well at Coach Rivals is we're always teaching people something new. Um, so I know that if you are really into drafting, you can watch multiple coaches and streamers talk about this. I know one of ours, me and Riley both watches LS. Very, very good for that. Um, and really, really interesting when you look at these coaches and how are they picking and why are they picking in a certain way. Um, so yeah, that's my little spiel about drafting. I know that Riley knows I love drafting in general. So all right, it
I mean,
looks like
I feel like
go for it.
red side does have a slightly higher, or sorry, blue side does it though, even though it is like supposed to be fairly balanced. Don't you agree? Isn't there one side that has a little bit? I think red side has a little bit of, or blue side, sorry, has a little bit of higher win rate overall, like in pro play.
Yeah, I think that there
Can't
is a
remember.
higher win rate for blue side overall. I think it's like it's small, but it's noticeable, right? And when you're trying to get every little bit of advantage, sides definitely matter overall. I know personally as a coach, I always love red side, but that's just like a personal thing for me because I always like to set my players up to have a best counter pick. Um, but you kind of have to learn both ways.
I mean, it's different. It's a different story for pro versus not like this because in pro you're playing like meta champions and you're playing
Hmm.
like the best players in the world.
Hmm.
At least you're going off comfort picks, so it's going to be a different mentality coming into the picks and bans as well.
Oh yeah, I agree. Definitely.
There it goes. Okay, yeah,
So let's log in here. And it's not 1 frame per second, right, Twitch chat?
yeah, looks good. Looks good.
All right, good to see. So I'm also interested to see if anyone goes for like a 5 point or invade based on teams. I always think that's more of like a preference for their team overall. And it looks like they are just doing kind of a semi 5 point. Let me see if I can.
blacked out again.
Yep, it's because I'm putting it on for Discord for you. Let's see if this
Sure.
goes back. It should. And Brand's back in. Perfect.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, cool. Perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
Look at that. Nothing wrong for game 1, week 2 of Coach Rivals. That's what I like to see.
Got red stars for both sides, which is interesting because you wouldn't think Bran would want to star on the red buff as opposed to the blue buff.
Well, he did get a new he got a new buff this patch, I believe, that he gets more mana whenever he kills a champion that is burning. So maybe his clear is a lot better. But he's getting pretty low here early.
He's just face tanking the buff. So there's this thing in the game called kiting, and what that is like when you attack something or some person, you can kind of like walk away from them, and with buffs and for minions in the jungle, they hold aggro to a certain extent. So when you're playing a ranged champion like Brand, you want to try to like walk out that buff and try to kite him out. Even with melee champions, you kind of want to do that, and you'll see it a bit in pro play.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're just standing there tanking it, you're wasting your health, and it could also waste your time because you actually start walking towards the next camp you want to do if you kite it out. So that is one thing that, like, if you're trying to jungle at the highest level, you want to think about is really kiting out jungle camps until you can move into the next camp to make your clear even faster.
Yeah, and while you're jungling and you're kiting out that jungle camp, you're constantly moving to the next place you want to be, so you're just conserving time.
Exactly.
Really, really good point. As we see Zach here starting to do just a full bot side clear into Scuttle, and it looks like they should actually be a gank here bot lane for the Zach. Thresh gets the hook. But where's the Zach? I need to see the Zach come in. And here he is.
Got baited by himself in there. Ezreal's damage early is so ridiculous.
Yeah, but both Ezreal and the Thresh here are getting low. But it looks like the Leona here is actually going to go down. Nice. First blood going over to the Varus.
There's those early game. Oh, double kill.
That's a double kill. Wow, this Varus popping off early. And you see why this is such a meta champ, right? Like you were saying earlier, 3 different ways. And he is really doing damage early.
I mean, there's the Zach early game going into effect. I mean, you see Brand doing 3 camps and having to back immediately while Zach is already making an impact on the map.
Yeah, and Zach's clear is super healthy because of his blobs that he drops. I do see this Maokai up here top lane getting a little frisky here with the Renekton. You don't want to do that versus Renekton early game. It's gonna. I'm waiting for the Renekton here to kind of play to that advantage and see what happens there.
That's fair. Yeah, Maokai is like, I think he's really strong right now and kind of broken because of the Sunfire Cape buffs. I don't see him very often right now though, which is weird.
So Maokai is a champion that I love personally. We played him last week in there, and he did so much work. He's a champion that is a tank, so a tank is usually someone that has a lot of health and a lot of crowd control, right? Jason told everyone about that last week. Crowd control is basically being able to stun someone. The problem with Maokai is that at pro play, people can play champions around him, right? You have like the Kalista top. You have all these champions that will outscale and out damage him and play very aggressive. And that's why he's not played as much in the pro league. But here I think he's amazing because he's constantly useful. He has a bunch of health, but here he's getting ganked on by the Galio and the Renekton, and they have to use their flash for it.
Oh, you got away.
Yeah, it was a really, really good flash. But the problem with Maokai is what you see right there, right? The early game is not as strong as the Renekton. But he should be able to scale perfectly fine, and as long as he doesn't die and he uses his flash correctly, it's perfect.
One thing also to note about tanks is they also build resistances. And what that is you get magic resistance and armor. And magic resistance obviously guards against magic damage, right? And then armor is against physical damage. And it just helps tanks stay alive even longer. Let's go back to that Brand play. Brand is dying to the Krugs while Zach is getting the Mountain Drake. So
And it's something
not the
that
best trade.
it's not the best trade, but it's really, really important for this Poro Rustlers team, the blue side, because they are able to get these dragons, and that means that the other team is not going to be able to get this dragon soul early. And like I said earlier on, it's all about this blue side just not losing, not dying, and waiting until later on. And getting a dragon is just gravy on the cake. Even though Brand did die to the Krugs, the amount of minions that he has is actually pretty good overall. 25 and going back to the top side to take this on. I wonder how good Brand jungle really is.
Give it a try.
Got to give it a try.
Yeah, I've been playing Kai'Sa jungle lately because of the AD buffs, and it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, not recently, but like I do it a lot in flex. It's fun.
Nice. I know
like,
a lot of the mages in the jungle are starting to come out with like the Zyra, the Morgana, now the Brand as well. I'm interested to see how good those are.
Zyra jungle's really fun.
We see a little bit of a 2v2 face-off going on here in the river. Zach here has to be careful. He can get really bursted out by this Galio. Ooh, nice flash. This Poro Rustlers team's getting the Maokai, the Zac, a couple other. They're getting out just by the skin of their teeth, which is really, really good for them, right? Just they just have to sit there and do nothing, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah. I wonder if it looks like Renekton's going the Tiamat build into maybe a Bork, or maybe he's just going full Ravenous. It's an item in the game. It gives you like auto attacks that do area of effect damage. Uh-oh. So it's really good for splitting. Oh, he might get soloed.
Oh, the sapling. The sapling's gonna get him. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
That was clean.
So Maokai playing very, very good there. Having full health coming back to the lane, but right as we say this, there's something going on bot lane now. Galio coming in with the taunt, the flash from Leona, and the triple stun. Almost getting the Thresh and Varus.
Played by Varus right there to flash out.
Now that you could see there that these coaches have been practicing, right? This Galio flash taunting, flash knock up, or not the flash knock up, but the taunt and the knock up, and the Leona capitalizing on it with her flash. Very, very, very good coordinated attacks there.
You can actually go unsealed spellbook with flash and hex flash, and then take sorcery second tree, and go that what's it called, the one where you get speed after you cast a summer spell. It's really good for Galio. Yeah, it's really good for Galio, because then you cast it and then you run at them with your W, and you can get free taunts because you're so fast.
Because you can't flash taunt anymore.
No, you have to well, you can't taunt flash. Or, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. So, pretty much, like, it's just so you can confirm that taunt, pretty much. Ooh,
and Renekton going in. The Galio ultimate later on top. Do they win this? I think they do, with the Anivia backing off and the taunt on the Zac, and the Brand coming through. They're going to be able to clean up 2 kills here.
Yeah, that was a little greedy by the by blue side there, going for that rift when they don't have that early damage like red side does. So,
but they did. If you look down here, they do have the Rift Herald on the Zac here, so they got to be able to pick up that objective. And with Dragon coming up, they can use that to try to persuade the red team not to be at the Dragon. That'd be 2 dragons up for this Poro Rustler team, as they're about 600 gold up with 10 minutes into the game. That's really, really good for them.
That's a good point. I think bot lane's winning so hard on Poro Rustlers that like it would be really good for them to, like they could probably just get it like no problem. See if Galio gets out here.
Ooh, the Thresh getting the hook, landing the hook on the Leona. Let's see if anything else can. Nope, just both teams decide to disengage.
Kind of going for something.
Now the second Drake is up, and Zach, it looks like he's just going to go solo it. Let's go check this out. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Nivea's walking down as well.
He's just looking for a gank here. Gets spotted by a control ward, but that's okay. As Brand starts to move his way up, and Galio gets back. So a really good reset. And here's the play that I was talking about earlier, using the Rift Herald here to get plates and incentivize the other team not to be a Drake.
They might get cut off here. They turn on him. Oh, nope, they didn't.
Looks like he's safe for now.
Leo's looking for something.
Leo's
Ooh,
going
this is
in.
a big fight.
The
Big
Ezreal
taunt, big
ult hitting
taunt.
3, and it looks like, yeah, the red team's going to come out with 4 kills on that? 3 kills on that. Really big taunt by the Galio to kind of pull everyone in, and Ezreal being able to ult over it to do a load ton of damage. That is amazing.
Played by the red side. You know, it's looking really bad for red, but now they're up, what, like 200 gold and they got a Drake? I mean, it's looking a little bit better for them.
They're coming back into it, right? Like I said at the beginning of the game, this Poro Rustlers team doesn't actually have to do anything, and they shouldn't take fights early. And that's a fight. The first fight they took, it went really, really well for them. But the second fight, this one was not very good. It was 3-0.
Now Ezreal's sitting on 3 kills and 83 farms, so he's probably gonna be able to build into his Miramana pretty early.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's insane. Is also the fact that all the kills went to Ezreal, which is really, really important for him because he needs that money. He needs that late game, dealing a lot of damage later on in the game.
Actually, like I wonder if he's gonna go the. I've heard a new Ezreal build's pretty strong, where you go Iceborne Gauntlet into Miramana, Iceborne Gauntlet, and Death Stance, and you're unkillable when you still do a ton of damage.
I'd be interested to see. I think that right now there's a lot of different picks going on with Ezreal that are making him so strong overall.
I mean, he's one of the best AD carries in the game right now as well. So I feel like Ezreal just has a higher ceiling to perform because your kit's mostly based with skill shots,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to Varus is. I mean, like you get the Q, but it's not as difficult, I would say, because you don't have to land anything prior to the Q. Unless you're stacking your blight to get the proc of the blight stacks off. But other than that, like it's not nearly as hard of a kit as Ezreal.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Renekton going in.
A little bit of a fight here with the Renekton and Maokai, but Maokai being so tanky, he just says, I don't want to take this fight. You used all your abilities and spells and ultimate, I'm just going to back up. And it's totally fine.
He's got so much crowd control, he can really just stop him.
And we see here, again, another fight going down. And it looks like Red Team now, with Ezreal getting 3 kills, they're starting to come back.
Ooh.
And they get 1 for 1 for now, but Varus should pick up the Leona. And the Zac coming in as well is really going to do it.
Yeah, Ezreal tunneling on that Thresh really cost him there with the Varus is able to free fire onto him.
But you're seeing how that he got 3 kills, that money out of nowhere. Now he can actually start to duel these two. And even though they lost the fight, it was still a good fight overall. And we're able to get a little bit more gold into him.
Take late game. A Varus or an Ezreal?
Oh, I take it. I always, you know me, I love scaling.
Yeah.
I'm all about that scaling.
Yeah, it looks like this Varus is going the on-hit build, because you see he's got the lethal tempo keystone, and he also has a Bork. So what you're going to look for is he's going to go Bork, Ginsu's Rage Blade, into some sort of, I'd probably say was it Runin's Hurricane, which does the multiple auto attacks, or 3 auto attacks per shot. And he'll just do a ton of damage, and he'll attack super quickly.
Yeah. I do want to highlight here, if you look at the Fog of War, if you look at the blue team, they've got 0 wards coming up here on this Rift Herald over here. If you look over here, it's all dark, except for now Thresh going through, which means that they don't have a lot of wards, they don't have a lot of vision on this. But if we move over to the red side, you can see that they have wards all around. They got 1 there, they've got the Scuttle, they've got 1 in here, and the control ward back here to kind of deny vision as well. Very, very good job by this team overall, using their vision. And it looks like they're going to get a pick here. Yep. Right here, because of that vision, red team can collapse so hard on the blue team. And blue team never had a chance because they couldn't even see the enemy, while the red team could see everything. So really, really good job by the red team here, getting these boards down and getting this vision score.
That's really well played. I mean, I think League of Legends is like mostly played off vision. It's one of the biggest parts of the game. So it's just like when you get that much vision on an objective, like you pretty much have to concede it, unless you want to walk in blind and risk your whole team dying.
Yeah, exactly. Like right here, the Zac running in like that. They're not able to see anything, but does he get out? Wow.
He gets out and they get a kill.
That Anivia damage over time. They better make sure they pick up this Rift Herald though. Do you see it over there?
Oh, they're gonna kill them all.
They're gonna kill them all, and they're not gonna get the Rift Herald here. Oh, that's tragic.
Oh my god.
That's so tragic.
Oh no. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Oh, I will tell you, that has happened to me multiple times, especially when they change the Rift Heralds. It like has a half a second delay, so I did it multiple times where I didn't pick it up. But because blue team was able to kill them all, and dragon's coming up here in about, well, it's up right now. They get a free dragon off of this. This is their second dragon at 17 minutes, and it's an ocean dragon. An ocean soul on scaling teams, you know what happens there, right?
Yeah, you lose.
Yeah, they're unkillable then. They constantly gain health really, really fast. So that fight cost them a lot. I'm interested to see how much gold Ezreal has. Looks like Ezreal's getting around 6,300 gold right now, and the Varus had 7,600. With the Anivia and Galio about even at 5,300.
I think Gaia has done a pretty good job making an impact on other lanes, though, this game. He's had two fairly successful ganks, the one going top to get the Maokai flash, the one going bottom to get that double kill for the Ezreal, or triple kill for the Ezreal, or just 3 kills in general for the Drake. So I think the red side has had some successes. They just need to maybe play around that Galio ult a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you're 100% correct on that. Hopefully this red team can keep on getting those flanks with Galio, because his ultimate and his crowd control is so unreal.
He's a fun champion. Really fun champion. Ooh, watch out for the gank here.
Well, it looks like both Zac and Galio are looking to see something here bot lane, but they both go back to their original lanes.
I'm in love with you. I hate when Zac is a meta champion. He is so annoying. Gosh. Your Zac is clean, but like I hate him.
He doesn't have to do anything. He can be like,
Dude.
he can be farming jungle camps and then just walk to a lane and E over, and then he's there into the fight.
Yeah. Ooh.
Can he capitalize on this though? Anivia missing a stun.
Galio also missed the knockup of his E, his E. So it was just overall a poor fight for him.
Both Galio having to flash and Anivia actually keeping her flash. But the Zac, just like we said, doing jungle camps, and next thing you know, he's in the middle of the fight. As Blue's rotating up, trying to catch out Red here at the top side of the Baron pit, as it does reach 20 minutes now, and Baron is available.
Yeah, I mean, with the change to Drakes and how much weaker they are early, 20-minute Barons aren't really realistic anymore. They're just so much harder to take now. You don't really have, unless you're like winning by a lot, you're not going to get a Baron unless you're gone for like 7 minutes off the map to take it. I mean, I'm being facetious, but it takes so long to take Baron, and it's not really worth it when you have other things in the map. You can get like tier 1 towers.
So it looks like the Zac's actually getting out and using the Maokai to actually defend this Zac. Very, very good opportunity for the red team, just unable to capitalize it, unfortunately. It looks like there was some miscommunication happening within the team. But Galio here just soloing the Anivia again. And it almost takes 0 damage because of his shield. Galio is just an unreal champion, I think.
He's so much fun, I'll tell you what. You play him like a tank, but he does damage. until you get counterpicked and they pick an AD champion in your lane.
Well, we saw that actually happen last week, right?
Yeah, true.
As we see here, red team going ahead and taking the tower, getting the Anivia passive. So if you don't know, Anivia turns into an egg when she's about to die. But that Varus ult hits Galio, hits Ezreal, and they're able to capitalize on both kills. And as you see, the Anivia is still alive because the egg wasn't fully popped. So at home, if you don't know the big blue bird in the middle, if you kill her, she turns into an egg where you have to actually deal more damage to her.
Yeah, same with Zach. He has 4 globs that shoot out from his body, and they all start moving towards the middle. And if you don't kill all 4 globs, he'll respawn as well. I feel like Zach passive is easier to kill than the Nivea egg, though.
Yeah, because AoE damage.
Yeah.
But right there, blue team getting 2 kills and not losing any because of that passive. Very, very important to him. And this Anivia being 302 with 143 farm, she is going to get really, really big here. This is where she starts to actually really scale and get a lot of her items and a lot of her damage. As she goes in and TPs in backside, they're looking to start a fight here with the red team. Gets the stun, gets the ult, Galio ulting on top, but I think the amount of damage that this blue team's going to do is
No,
going to be way more.
Azul's going to clean it up. Azul's going to clean it up, I think. Maybe not.
Blue team
maybe
getting
not.
3 kills for 1. And do they get the Ezreal here, though?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's a 4 for 1, and then guess what that is? That's third dragon there.
Getting to a dangerous point in this game.
Mm-hmm. Whereas blue team is, they bought enough time and they can actually just, they're scaling, and their late game champions are just starting to really come to form here. Really, really good TP by blue team overall, too. The Maokai, the Anivia, all TPing in there, finding that catch just because of vision, right?
Yeah, and I think the Galio was really good though. I mean, it's a bummer that they weren't able to capitalize further. I just think it wasn't really the most organized team fight for them. So it just took them a lot. Like, I don't know. It was just bad for them overall.
Yeah.
They just didn't have a front to back team fight. I guess is what I'm trying to say, and that's what they really need to do if they're gonna win these fights. They gotta have Galio, Renekton, and Leona take up the engage and try to peel for the Ezreal and the brand, do all the damage.
Yeah, and now it's red team's in a really tough spot now because how do you win this team as the red team, right? Like, you don't have dragons on your side. You have to get there's a Baron, but you don't really want to take a fight at Baron because you don't really win anymore. I think trying to split push is very hard against a Nivea and a Maokai because they are so tanky and do so much damage and can clear waves. Red team is in a very, very tough spot, and I don't exactly know how they're going to get through this game overall. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean they just gotta take the ultimate fight, right? They have so much AOE damage, and they also have like really good, I think like a really good team fight if they can find a really good fight for them. Because if you get a good brand ult off and it's just bouncing from member to member, you could do a ton of damage.
I think this is something that we didn't really understand fully was the brand jungle, but I think this brand ultimate might be the only way that they really get out of this game. Is does that brand ultimate do a bunch of damage to everyone on the team? As you see, brand has the item Leandries, which is really going to help against any healing that this team does. This blue side, as Renekton goes in and tries to take a one-on-one fight. Let's see what happens as a Zac comes in to gank. And now Renekton's in a little bit of trouble. You get the Zac ult on top of the Maokai ult, and now it's just 2 beefy dudes. And there's nothing that this Renekton can do.
At least that Nivea damage.
Mm-hmm. I hate playing against Nivea because I know it's like eventually they're going to hit it. Galio missing the knockup, but getting the taunt on the Varus as they focus down. Thresh looking like it's going to go down, and Leona going to be going down, but Zac joins the fray, and Zac is going to be doing so much menacing work here. As they kill the Galio, Zac getting out, and there are those bloblets, right? The passive that we talked about. Varus killing the Ezreal, and Brand just barely getting away with the flash.
Infuriating.
It's so infuriating from the red team. They kill someone, and the guy just comes back to life.
It could have been a 2 for 3, but instead it's a 1 for 3. And then they get a free Baron.
Yep, and blue
That's
team
because
running right to it.
the Anivia ult and the constant damage from the Varus is just gonna melt this Baron.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think this Renekton can really do anything, and they don't have any vision on it overall, so they don't even know what's happening right now. There it is. As blue team now gets probably reset here, and with Baron, for the viewers at home that don't know, Baron will give you a bunch of buffs. Each champion gets a bunch of buffs, but it also buffs up the minions and makes them harder. As you can see now, all the minions are purple. They have increased armor, increased resistance, and increased damage as well.
That only happens when champions stand next to them. So you really want to be in every lane trying to push the minions out towards the enemy towers. And you really utilize the Baron aura. You also get some like damage as well when you get the buff. And an increased recall, or a faster recall, I guess is the word.
Yeah, and this Maokai and Renekton going in, and it looks like the Renekton actually getting the better of that trade. But with this Baron buff, Dragon's coming up, and this is Dragon Soul. As this Brand is right here, and he just gets blown up by the blue team. He's too squishy for that. But that's a lot of damage by that Ezreal.
He's got to turn on the. He didn't focus the Varus though, and the Varus was able to free fire onto his face.
Mm-hmm.
So easy cleanup.
Yep, the Varus is doing so much damage. And the Zac being just so tanky that they can't actually get through him. That's Ocean Soul going over, and Ocean Soul on a Zac and a Maokai, these guys are going to be unkillable. They need some type of grievous wounds to happen on their team to kind of bleed them out, but it's going to be very, very hard.
They need damage and they need gold to get that damage. So it's going to take them a very long time to be able to put a dent on this on this blue side at this point. I think they just win at this point. Unfortunately for the red team, they put up a good fight, but they just got outscaled, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, this is why I love scaling so much. This is why I always want to be the scaling team, because it comes to a point that you just win. It's very, very hard to lose. As Vera's catching up Brand here, doing so much damage. Holy cow.
That's one of the things you see even in pro play. If you play an early game team, it's hard to speed the game up fast enough to where you are able to. Is Varus gonna live?
Yeah,
Varus is living.
Yes. So Varus just got attacked, 2-on-1, and then Nivea got 1-on-1, and Varus was just able to heal so much because the Ocean Soul, he's got Bork, he's got Affinity Edge, and a Hurricane, and I think this is just gonna be the end of the game through here. Varus and Nivea just cleaning up everyone.
That's it. But anyway, teams that pick early game comps, they just don't accelerate the game fast enough often to be able to win before the other team can scale. And you see that all the time. TSM, if anybody watches pro play, TSM did that a lot in the last season. They would pick these really early game comps, be taking a really big lead, but they just weren't able to accelerate the game fast enough to and what they're good at.
So overall, though, I think the game went pretty well. I think that both teams had a chance to accelerate or a chance to just kind of sit back and relax. I think the Varus bot pick, 15-1, that's so much damage, right? And even this Anivia pick, that surprised me. I actually thought the Anivia pick was going to be not very good early on, but he was able to not die. He went 8-0-9. Very, very important. And I think overall there's two different styles of picking their teams, and one team was able to kind of get to their goal faster. Let's go over some damage charts here.
Who do you think the MVP of this game was?
I think it's the Varus. That Varus got the double kill early and just snowballed the bot lane lead.
I think it's Zac, the unsung hero of the jungle.
Oh, you're giving the junglers some love?
Yeah, because I think he was able to make the most plays around the map and just really get the team rolling. And he got early Drake, he got early gank bot lane to get the Varus ahead. He just had a lot of good plays. I think the team wouldn't have done as well without him. The ace on the red team, I would probably give it to the Galio. I think he had a lot of great play, and I think that he really like did his best to like keep the team in it for as long as he could.
Yeah, I think I want to look at his vision score because I think that's something that we talked about was so important. You look here at the Thresh having 62 vision score compared to Leona who had 40, right? And getting extra vision around different objectives is so important. Varus having 22 and the Ezreal having 17, pretty similar. Nivea having 17 and the Galio having 25. But these vision scores, the Zac having 33 and the Brand having 28, are actually pretty similar overall, which is really good to see because vision is probably one of the most important parts of this game. But we're going to take about a 5 minute break and then we're going to come back for game two.